The decade-old MMO raking in the cash, a hit spooky fishing game is getting a film adaptation, and the Palworld update that accidentally breaks the game. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is Jinx News. I've been an MMO fan since I was a kid. The whole concept of one blew my puny, underdeveloped mind. You can adventure across a huge, sprawling world with thousands of other players all at the same time. Sign me up, baby!
Yeah, baby!
Sadly, as a kid that never got pocket money, playing things like World of Warcraft was out of the question due to the subscription. The game was reserved when I would visit my dad on the weekends, where my brother and I would spend the whole time battling for the PC so we could level up our characters. Luckily, RuneScape existed, and while I had been scarred one too many times due to armor trimming scams, it provided a fantastic entry point into the genre. But boy, then came Guild Wars, and yeah, a load of people were like, it's not a real MMO due to the phasing. I was like, sign me up, baby! Yeah. But what I didn't know at the time was these games were planting a seed inside my brain, a seed that would grow into an insatiable hunger for more MMO content. It's a blight that's infected many of us, and of course a load of companies wanted their slice of the pie. Lord of the Rings Online, Rift, WildStar, Star Wars The Old Republic, The Elder Scrolls Online, all games I dabbled in but ultimately kind of fizzled away over the years. Or so I thought, because that last game on the list, The Elder Scrolls Online, well, it turns out it's made nearly $2 billion in its lifetime. Now this was news to me. I thought naively that this game was dead. I gave it a go on release back in 2014, could not vibe with the combat and gave up after a few sessions. In fact, that was the case for basically everyone I knew who played MMOs. But here we are, 10 years later, with ZeniMax and Bethesda swimming in money. So what happened? Well, the honest answer is, the game found its audience. It turns out you don't have to be a WoW killer or the next Fortnite to be a success, and despite its rocky launch, the game turned things around 1 year later by dropping its sub. Now, having an IP as massive as The Elder Scrolls was always going to be hugely advantageous, but what sweetened the deal all the more was how much fans have been deprived another Elder Scrolls game. Over the years, there must have been countless people who were like, you know what, I don't want to play Skyrim for the 5th time. I'll check out ESO instead. And once they did, they stuck around. While the combat feels a little bit clunky for us MMO players, for Elder Scrolls fans, it's just more of what they know and love. So where does the $2 billion come from? Well, they've nailed the monetization too. The base game is cheap and often on sale. In fact, right now on Steam, it's like $5. And the optional subscription is particularly enticing, giving players access to all of the game's DLC and a monthly supply of premium currency for those sweet, sweet cosmetics. And with the Necrom expansion on the way and the Elder Scrolls 6 nowhere in sight, perhaps now's the time to give it a go. So what do you think? Are you an ESO fan? Let us know in the comments. There's a whole bunch of video game and TV adaptations to get excited about, many of which aren't that surprising. We know we're getting a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in December, a debut Borderlands film in August, and a Minecraft movie that's definitely not starring Pedro Pascal in about a year's time. But one of the more surprising games you can add to that list is last year's indie hit, Dredge. For those of you who may have missed it, Dredge sees you play as a fisherman in a strange island archipelago, catching all manner of weird and wonderful sea life and doing quests for its rather creepy inhabitants. Its mix of relaxed fishing and boat upgrading gameplay combined with an unsettling Lovecraftian atmosphere was one that captured the imagination of many. But inspire a film adaptation? That's a lot more left field, especially as it's set to be live action. Developer Black Salt Games is partnering with production company Story Kitchen for the film. It's led by the producer of the first Sonic movie, Dimitri M. Johnson, the producer behind a whole host of video game adaptations, including the upcoming Tomb Raider animated Netflix series. And yeah, compared to the adventures of Lara Croft, it may seem unusual to want to make a film about a game whose story is so vague, but I'd actually argue that's a good thing. See, the less of a story a game has, the more freedom the writers and directors have to build a strong narrative. As long as you lean into the general tone and atmosphere of the game and throw in a few references to some of the key characters, you'll have a decent flick on your hands. Though historically this can still be hit and miss. Games like Angry Birds and Rampage don't exactly have a rich and complex lore, yet those film adaptations are at best completely forgettable. But I still think a Dredge film would work really well, though let's be honest, this feels mostly like an excuse for the production company to swan off to some beautiful island paradise for a few months to sip cocktails on the beach and maybe spend the odd day on a boat somewhere doing a bit of filming. On an unrelated note, I'm pitching my new Jinx News in Paradise series today, bringing you all the vital gaming news from the Bahamas on location every single day, so wish me luck. And to help make this dream a reality, please consider joining our Patreon, Jinx Plus. I'm sure you'll agree this would be a great way to use the money. It's time for the quick fire round. First up, we have a release date for World of Warcraft Classic's Cataclysm launch. On May 20th, Deathwing will arrive, yet again, to decimate everything in Azeroth. And I think the big question is, what do they do from here? First of all, Classic is catching up faster than new WoW expansions are coming out. Secondly, once you're past the third expansion, is it really Classic anymore? I personally think their seasons of Discovery servers are the way forward, but do let me know if you plan to give Classic Cataclysm a go. Over on Fortnite, the Avatar The Last Airbender skins have finally arrived, and damn are they expensive. As much as I love Aang, Zuko, Katara, and Toph, 2,000 V-Bucks per skin is rough. For reference, Goku came with 4 different skins for 2,700. Plus, not including my boy Sokka is an insult, and they proceed to rub salt in the wound by including his sword, but not him. Last up, Xbox Palworld players beware. A new update has massively broken the game, so much so that the devs are advising players to not try and load multiplayer data. Essentially, when loading multiplayer, a bug is making Xboxes accidentally load up far older save data, potentially setting back players hours of work. As annoying as that sounds, the devs are working on a fix, so things should be patched up real soon. And that's the show. Hit those like and subscribe buttons, Eid Mubarak to our Muslim watchers, and have a glorious rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.